Welcome to the Unsleever. Today's video is all about celebrating the impact and influence of Black artists in the world of music. It is Black History Month in the US, so I want to focus on African American girl groups from the 90s. This was an amazing time for female bands, and it's no coincidence that most of them were R&B or mainly R&B music. This was one of the defining genres of the 90s. I will show you 10 girl groups you should know and one record for each of them. Stay until the end to find out if your favorite 90s group made it into the list. The first one on my list is none other than TLC. As far as influential 90s girl groups go, it all starts with them. With themes of social justice and sex positivity in their lyrics, they took female empowerment to a whole new level. I have chosen 3D, mainly because I think it deserves some attention. It's not as highly regarded or successful as the previous three ones, but I think it's still a solid collection of songs. I have also chosen this one because 2024 marks the 30th anniversary of Crazy Sexy Cool and the 25th anniversary of Fan Mail, so I want to do special videos for those. The visuals for this album were likely not ready by the time of Left Eye's passing, so they had to do what they could with old photos, but this Photoshop job is just bad. Not sure what they were thinking here, especially knowing how many amazing photo shoots they had to pick from. The sound on this pressing is pretty quiet, but it has pops and clicks throughout, and it has a glitch with the speed on the song turntable. Unfortunately, this too sounds pretty bad. Super compressed and with changes in volume in the middle of songs. It has a few decent moments, but sadly a pretty mediocre pressing. Next up, it's Destiny's Child, another amazing group that birthed the icon that Beyoncé would become years later. They were also pretty influential, and out of all of 90s groups, they were the ones that were most directly influenced by Diana Ross and the Supremes. For this video, I have chosen my favorite album from them, The Writings on the Wall. This album gave them global hits such as Say My Name, Bills with Bills, or Jumpin' Jumpin'. This is the Urban Outfitters edition that came out for the album's 20th anniversary. It comes with printed inner sleeves and the records come in clear with black splatter. I'm happy with the sound overall. Packaging could be better, as is the case with most Urban Outfitters pressings. And one thing I'm sad about is that they didn't include Get on the Bus as a bonus track like the CD that I had back in the day. If you're looking for flawless harmonizing, then the legendary En Vogue is for you. With the release of their debut album in 1991, they were pivotal in mixing old aesthetics and glamour with a newer, cheekier funk sound. And despite drawing comparisons to the Supremes, they were all amazing vocalists, and they cited The Emotions and Sister Sledge as their main influence. By the time their second album, Funky Divas, came out, they were superstars. My favorite album from them, EB3, is unfortunately not available on vinyl, so I have chosen my second favorite one, Masterpiece Theater. I am fascinated by it. It is sort of a concept album which samples classical music in many songs and brings them into a contemporary R&B and pop sound. Only one hit single came out of it, called Riddle, but I highly recommend other songs such as Falling in Love, Sad But True, and Beat of Love. The album comes in a single sleeve that houses both discs. There are no printed inner sleeves and the credits are all crammed into the back cover. But the sound of this pressing more than makes up for the poor packaging. The album sounds full and exciting with deep bass and clarity in the vocals. I love listening to this album on vinyl. Sisters with Voices, or SWV, are also one of my favorite groups ever. Deeply rooted in soul and gospel, they were, as the name suggests, all about the vocals, with lead singer Coco doing the heavy lifting. They have so many classics from their first album alone, such as Weak, Right Here, or my personal favorite, You're Always on My Mind. But what I have here is their third studio album, Release Some Tension. I really love it, but I have chosen it because I don't have their first album, It's About Time, on vinyl, and I really hope it gets repressed because it's pretty high on my most wanted list. Once again, this comes in a single sleeve for both records. Just like the En Vogue pressing, the credits are in the back cover, so no printed inner sleeves are included. What it does include is a gigantic hype sticker because the name of the group probably wasn't big enough on the cover. The pressing sounds really good, quite loud and a nice deep bass. It does suffer from inner groove distortion, ruining classics like Rain. In the early 90s, Jermaine Dupri signed supergroup Xscape to his label, So Def. With a sound more rooted in hip-hop and soul, the group produced a bunch of hits such as Just Kicking It or Who Can I Run To. And they actually played an important role in the discography of other girl groups via one of their members, Candy, who became a superstar songwriter and is behind some of the biggest hits of the late 90s and early aughts. She co-wrote Bills 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 by Destiny's Child and No Scrubs by TLC, alongside songs for Usher, Pink, Boyz II Men, and Mariah Carey. My favorite song by them, Softest Place on Earth, is included in their third album, Traces of My Lipstick. The album comes in a single sleeve and includes a double-sided insert. There is only one vinyl, and it actually doesn't sound too bad given that it's cramming a whole 52 minutes into one vinyl. There is some hissing here and there, but overall it sounds good. The next group on my list is very dear to me. That is Blaque, or Black Ivory, how they were known outside the US. They were signed to Left Eye's production company and clearly influenced by TLC in that they had the same arrangement of 2 singers and 1 rapper. However, they leaned more into pop music, even going towards teen pop in some of their songs. Their debut album, self-titled, is one that I really love, and it generated big hits for them such as 808 and Bring It All To Me with NSYNC. Sadly, the death of Left Eye in 2002 and the death of Natina Reed in 2012 affected their continuity. However, I highly recommend their other 2 albums, Torch and Blackout. Another one that comes in a single sleeve, but this time it includes 2 printed inner sleeves. The pressing has great dynamics and it's very well mastered for vinyl. It doesn't come without some issues though, as there is some sibilance in songs like Lenny or Time After Time. Total's debut album came out in 1996, but by that time they were already known as they had guest appearances in songs from the Notorious B.I.G., Mace or Foxy Brown, who were also signed to Bad Boy Records. I think there was a clear influence from TLC in their effortlessly cool image and sound. They only did 2 albums, and for this video I have chosen their second one, Kima, Kisha and Pam, which introduced productions from Timbaland and Missy Elliott. As you can see, it is also in a single sleeve and a double-sided insert is included. They were probably not big fans of gatefolds in the 90s. This was reissued in 2023 and I saw it at my local record store and I noticed the print quality of the cover was really pixelated. This is not the case with the original pressing, so if you want a copy I recommend going for this one, which also sounds superb, with Missy Elliott's production sounding particularly punchy. In 1997, Mariah Carey founded Crave Records, and the first act to be signed was Allure, who released their debut album, and in fact, it has quite a lot of influence from Mariah. She wrote a few of the songs, and the album actually generated a few hits for them, such as All Cried Out with 112 or Head Over Heels with Nas. Unfortunately, the label wasn't even active for a year, and it shut down in July of 1998, leaving Allure's future up in the air. And as a fun fact, if you remember Lutricia McNeil, she also signed with Crave Records. She was supposed to be launched in North America, Asia and Australia after collecting hits in Europe. That, of course, never materialized, leaving her to find a different distribution deal. But I think that Allure's album is a very worthy legacy for the ill-fated Crave Records and one of the finest R&B albums that year. Another album that was released with very simple packaging, with just the single sleeve and 1 disc. The album is 51 minutes long, so as expected, it doesn't sound very good. The songs sound quite compressed to me, with a lot of sibilance throughout. For the next 2 groups, I don't have any full albums in my collection, but I wanted them to be represented in this video somehow. The first one, 702, have one of the most recognizable songs from the late 90s, Where My Girl's At. And funny enough, this song was offered to TLC for their album Fan Mail, but they passed on it. I'm sure 702 was pretty happy about this decision because it became a huge global hit for them. They only released 3 albums, and my favorite one was their second one, self-titled, which included this song and also You Don't Know. The single comes with the original version and a couple of really cool remixes. These remixes all include an extra rap from Missy Elliott. My favorite is the All-Star remix. The final group on my list is Brownstone. If You Love Me is one of my all-time favorite songs, and it was included in their debut album From the Bottom Up. They only released 2 albums, but the legacy of this song still stands. The single comes with a couple of remixes and they don't differ too much from the original version, but they're still great. There is one more group that I didn't include in this list, and that is Jade, who found great success with their song Don't Walk Away. I didn't include them in the main list because I don't have any records from them, but if you're a fan of the new jack swing sound, I recommend you check them out. That's all for today's video. Let me know in the comments what are your favorite girl groups from the 90s and if they made it into my list. And also don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.